Hey y'all, Toad here. Welcome. All right, what you see in the foreground is the 86 Ford pickup. Now, if you're familiar with the channel and following it at all, at one point in time I had this one sitting here, then sitting off to this side was a 76 Ford pickup, and then there was a Bronco sitting over here. You can see the spot where it used to be. And had some decisions to make. Now, the 76 was cool. It was a fine truck. It needed some work, you know, typical crap that you'd have from a car that age. One of the great things about it was it had no computers. It was pretty easy to work on. The downside to it was it was a big V8 with an automatic, and the fuel mileage just was not going to cut the mustard. Especially because our everyday driver is a newer vehicle that gets fine gas mileage. It's a V8. It's our tow vehicle. Blah blah blah. So we really didn't need a second vehicle like that needed that kind of work. We wanted, it's just more than we wanted. Somebody came along, made me an offer. 76 is gone. The Bronco belonged to one of the kids. The kid decided to sell it. Poof, the Bronco is gone. So now this is sitting here. Now the one you don't see in the picture at all is the black Suburban. Now I had that black Suburban for a long time. It was kind of a love-hate relationship when it worked. It was a wonderful car to have, and it didn't break down often, but it just had this irritating habit of breaking down at the worst possible times it could, including business. So what we did, kind of put it up on the market, threw it out on Craigslist. Nobody bid. I had a lot of money in that car. I really did. More money than it was worth. So I wasn't going to give it away. I was just going to keep it. But then the hurricanes came. And with the hurricanes comes the need for workers to go and do the cleanups and all that. And I had a guy contact me. I had forgotten all about the Craigslist ad. And the guy called me and said, hey, let's do a trade. And if you look in the background, you can see the trade vehicle. Let's go up and take a closer look. Well, what we have here is an 89 Chevrolet 3/4 ton pickup truck. This is what the guy had, and he had to go to Florida and carry, 6 or 7 people with him. And when he first told me, I was like, ugh, the last thing I need is another fancy schmancy computer controlled V8 pickup. Just don't. And he smiled and said, hey, let me come over here and show it to you. Well, check this out. Wow. And there you go. Okay, yeah, that's not the engine that belongs in there. That is a mid-late 70s 4-bolt main 350. Extremely rudimentary electronics. About the same as is on that Ford. Now, I'm not a big EMP prepper. I'll just be straight up honest about that. If we get to the point where I'm worried about electromagnetic pulse attacks, I'm not worried about driving down the highway. I'm just not. For those of you who are hyper preppers, who are into it and want a quality answer, I plan on sheltering in place if that kind of thing happens. I do have a mini farm, and that's what we're about. But this also doesn't have the insane amount of sensors, computers, and all kinds of other crap that, let's say, the, an 08 Yukon, our everyday driver. That thing is a lot like, well, it's like our little Crunchy here next door, the little Toyota Echo. Too many electronics, too many sensors for me. I like to be able to work on a vehicle. This one I can work on. So that was a plus for it. The other plus for it is it runs and drives. It's fine. What does it need to be legal? Nothing. It's legal. I registered it already. What does it need to be perfect? Way too much than I can list. But it starts, runs, goes down the road, and with the exception of a crack in the windshield, if our state still had vehicle inspections, which thank God we got rid of those, but if we still had vehicle inspections, this would pass with flying colors. No problem. So it's a running, driving beater. Now, what are we going to do with it? Good question. Trucks have high value here. And this one, besides the engine swap, and in case you're curious, the only thing that doesn't work is the fuel gauge, which I'm not sure if that's because of the engine swap or if there's something else. It's not something I'm worried too much about. Or any air conditioning. Neither one of those work. Again, it could be part of the electronics, the incompatibility of the old engine, new engine stuff. I don't know. I didn't do the swap, so I have to figure it out little by little. But all of the equipment for the air conditioning is there. So if air conditioning becomes an issue, which at this point it's not, because when we drive this truck is used to haul dirty, nasty, heavy crap, which is not something we do on a big time basis, but we do it. And I don't want to put that kind of stuff in the back of the Tahoe, which is definitely more of I guess a luxury car. We try and keep the Tahoe clean. So this one gets all the dirty work. Now, will we keep it? It's a good question, because let's see if I can do this without getting without mucking you up too much, because my tripod's a little stiff. There's the Ford down there, and we'll kind of put him in the upper corner. Pros and cons. When it comes to usefulness, as far as the Toadstead itself goes, that 6-cylinder 4-speed will do everything we need it to do. This one has the 350, but it has, I can't remember which one it is right offhand. It's not the T10, but this has a 4-speed, one of them being a 3-speed with a granny low power takeoffs. It's a good transmission. At this moment, I cannot remember the make and model of it, but it's a great transmission. That one's also got a 4-speed in it, but it's got S-Rod, I can't remember, a transmission that's as far as reliability and parts and all that. If I keep that, I'd almost guaranteed want to change out the transmission and put something better in it. Everything I've read about that transmission, it basically came from a Ford Granada. That's all I need to say. Love the gearbox in this truck. This thing will pull a house. Gas mileage with that V8, and I show you that 4-speed threw off it threw off the speedometer. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's got gigantic tires in the back, which actually helps a little bit with making the speedometer a little more accurate. But this truck is a lot of things, but one thing it isn't is economical. So for now, we still have a bit of a dilemma. This one runs and drives. Dirty, nasty work comes up, we got it covered. And a little Ford down there. I like it too. Now, as far as brand preference, I pretty much grew up with Chevrolets. If I have any bias, it's pretty much because of that. Yeah, I know more about the Chevrolets than I do the Fords. I don't have a brand preference beyond that. The other thing, which you can't see it from here, but off to camera right, I have 2 V8 motors. One that's a 375 horsepower V8 that would replace this if that went wrong. And I have another one that's a stock early 2000s V8 that would also, both of those, the 2 I have over here, one is a high nickel block that was built up for a project I had done years ago. Some of you might remember the Astrozilla project. I have that motor. and the other one was a van motor that popped. It was an intake manifold gasket. Very, very similar symptoms to a blown head gasket, and the motor got removed and replaced with a crate engine, thinking it was a blown head gasket. Turns out it was just the intake gasket. Common problem on those engines, and that engine only had about 85, 90,000 miles on it, so it's a good motor. So if I get rid of the Chevy, I might as well get rid of the other small blocks, because after this, the Tahoe is a 5.3, completely different. If I'm going to do that, if I get rid of this truck, I might as well get rid of everything. So some feedback would be appreciated. Do we keep with the bow tie, or do we give the blue oval a chance? What do you think? This car couldn't care less at all, because neither one of them is a Tundra. All right, folks. See you next time around.